Welcome to the Life of a Marketer podcast. Our guest today is Marjorie. Marjorie is an expert in Google pay-per-click marketing, so I'm glad to have her on here since that's my area of expertise as well. Welcome, Marjorie. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us about who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Jared, and thanks for having me. I've been in digital marketing for close to 20 years now. Paid search is really my bread and butter, so that's what motivates me the most. I've had the opportunity to work on everything from small startup accounts all the way to massive Fortune 500 accounts. And then currently, just in late June of this summer, I launched Alpine Analytix. So I'm the CEO and co-founder there. And what we do is we offer specialized Google Ads services to health, wellness, and fitness brands. And the way we do that, simplest way to put it is we have a Google Ads profitability framework process. It's a 3-month phased process where we become a strategic extension of our clients' teams and help them cut through the noise and unlock profitable growth for their programs.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell me, what's the best thing about being in the marketing industry?
I think there's two parts of it for me that really stand out. I think the first one is that it's constantly changing and evolving. So I've been in the Google Ads interface almost every day for 2 decades, and the amount of change and progress has been mind-blowing. So whether it's a new campaign type that's come out or an ad format, there's always something to explore and test. And so I find that really fascinating, and that keeps me motivated. There's just always something to test and iterate and learn from.
I agree. There's always something new that you can test or try, or a different angle. I definitely
Yep.
agree with you. So what sort of advice do you offer to those that are in the marketing industry right now?
I'd say, and this is something that I would have done differently, if I could go back in time. So the first thing would be, don't be afraid to start your own personal brand today, right? You don't need a huge LinkedIn following, for example, to have an authentic voice. And there's always something that you can share that may be valuable for other people as well.
Awesome. So I want to diving into that a little bit. We had talked a little bit about sharing and how that you have just recently finishing up. Uh, Basically, it sounds like an ebook that you're going to be sharing about Google Ads. Tell us about that book that you're finishing up. You know what it's about, and you know what who that's for.
Yeah, sure. So it's been quite an undertaking, probably more than I anticipated when I started it, but it's been really a rewarding experience. It's a Google Ads ebook. It's about 60 pages. It's geared towards the health and wellness industry with pro tips and practical examples, specifically for those brands. But it's really a collective of everything I've learned, successes and failures, over the last 2 decades. And I think the principles are going to be applicable for any type of business, really. And it covers everything from A to Z. So it's going to walk you through expert conversion tracking, call tracking, leveraging first party data, writing compelling offers, different ad formats. Try to be very comprehensive. We try to keep some of it in language that a CMO would understand, but then of course, with Google Ads being as tactical as it is, there's definitely some tactical pieces in there as well. And I think the biggest goal for me in writing it, beyond just sharing this experience and expertise, was to make it be something that is valuable in the sense that you're not going to find it in a Reddit forum or just like in Google Ads support documentation. Like, we're taking a stand and saying, this is the call tracking vendor I recommend based on my experience, or this is how I would implement conversion tracking, so on and so forth. So it is something that is really based on all of my experiences and my own successes and failures and trials and errors.
If you had to boil down the top the top three techniques that recently or in recent times that are advanced that you've tried with Google Ads that worked. What would those be? Give us your best ideas.
I think leveraging first-party data, if you have enough first-party data to leverage, that can be tricky for smaller brands, so I recognize that. But that is something I think is overlooked sometimes, even with larger brands. I think especially with the privacy forward era that we're in now, leveraging that data is more important than ever. And there's some really advanced cool things you can do with it if you get a little bit creative with whether it's with customer match or even excluding your past purchasers. If you're, let's say, highlighting a course that people only buy once, that's a simple thing that can be really effective in reducing your wasted ad spend and improving your ROI that people may not be thinking about. So I'd say that's one.
But let me jump
um,
in there for our audience.
sure.
Explain what you mean by first party data, because they might not exactly understand what that means.
Sure. So it's a gold mine for companies because it's data that people have willingly given you, right? Whether they've signed up for a newsletter or they've submitted a form on your website for more information. Maybe they want an enrollment packet before they sign up for a health coaching course. They're in your CRM, and so they should be people that you are really leveraging. You can also build lookalikes and demand gen campaigns. That's another thing we touch on in the playbook. So yeah, so they're your customers, or at least they're people that have interacted with your brand.
I'm sorry, I got to change gears here because I want to ask you something. I've tested the demand gen, son. What has been your experience with demand gen? Has it worked for you? What have you tested that did work?
Yeah, it's a good question, and something I talk to. I'm in a PPC community, and so this is something that comes up often. I think demand gen, I've had it work really well for some clients, and I've had it not work as well for others. And of course, every account is unique in Google Ads. Um, there are some consistent themes, though. I think having quality creative is very key to having it work well. Um, right now, something that I find interesting that I'm testing out is just testing single image and carousel image ads in demand gen and not doing the video aspect, and then just letting the videos be the creative element that we're running, whether it be in PMax or specific YouTube campaigns. I've had success kind of delineating them that way as far as the network coverage. Um, yeah, those are the two things that really come to mind. I also think I wouldn't recommend demand gen for an account that either A, had a limited budget, or B, hadn't really mastered their search campaigns yet. I view it as find what works really well in a targeted manner and start with your search campaigns first. And then when you have success there, demand gen is something that I would look to unlock another level of growth and reach people that are a little bit higher in the funnel.
Awesome, awesome. All right, just real quick, give us one more. Give us your best shot from your book that you're writing. What's the number one another technique that we can use that's advanced in our Google Ads campaigns.
I think the quality of the data and closing the loop on your conversion data is really important. And so what I mean by that is if you're running a lead gen campaigns, making sure that you have an offline conversion tracking mechanism in place where you are regularly, daily would be preferred, sending that data from your CRM back into Google Ads. So a simple example would be an online nutrition certification company. And this is an account, I worked on an account like this just last year. So it's a very recent example. And although people can purchase their certification course right away, oftentimes there's a lag because people will first want more information. So they may want to get the free enrollment packet, and they may want to be nurtured through email to be able to read testimonials from other clients and learn more about the program, right? It's a little bit more of a longer consideration cycle there. And so what they were capturing when I first started managing the account was just those leads to get the enrollment packets. And they weren't able to tie the ultimate final conversion where people signed up for the course with the associated revenue. They weren't feeding that back into Google Ads. And so the Google Ads algorithms are really powerful, but they're only as good as the data that you give them to work from.
Mm-hmm.
And so by closing that loop and feeding that data back into Google Ads, now you're able to move from target CPA to target ROAS. You're able to, assign values to those conversions and also understand which leads are ultimately turning into in course enrollments and which aren't. And so then the bidding algorithms can actually go after the clicks that are going to drive real value for your business instead of just leads that may not convert.
All right. Thanks for sharing all those tips. Those are very valuable tips. If you're listening, I hope you take that to heart because I have tried to implement those things many times with companies and it's quite challenging. So I hope you're listening. I hope you'll take that advice from Marjorie. So what are some other successful people in marketing like yourself that you'd like to acknowledge that should be on the podcast?
Yeah, there's three people that come to mind. The first one is Bridget Orton. I've known her for years now. She actually just launched a new business of her own, and she's driving a lot of value for clients in the Facebook and Instagram realm. So that's someone I think would be interesting for you to have.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And then
Yep.
we have, oh, you were going to mention two more. I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was, yeah. The second one is Tomas Abbott Weiserek. I hope I'm saying his last name correctly, but he runs the PPC Profit Club and is a friend of mine. And so he's an absolute paid search master, and that's a great community where Google Ads folks come together and help each other and share ideas and bounce ideas off one another. And then the third is Craig Graham. So he is someone that I follow closely on LinkedIn, and he is also Google Ads expert, but he has a lot of knowledge specifically in the e-com and YouTube areas.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. And then we have one more question just for fun. Tell me the oldest technology you remember using.
Okay, I'm going to age myself a little bit here, but I remember playing Marble Madness on Atari in the 80s. That was before the original Nintendo and Mario Bros. Even came out. So, yeah,
I don't
that
think
was
anyone has ever mentioned that particular game. I never played that one. I've played some other ones, but not that one. So you're the first one to say, not the first one to say Atari. We've had a lot of people mention that.
okay.
But
Okay.
sure that brings back nostalgia and memories.
It does. I did some gaming in the 80s for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Marjorie, thanks for coming on the podcast. Thanks for sharing all of that. That was some really good, very specific, actionable stuff that you can take if you're in marketing, whether you're a CMO or you're doing paid ads. Really appreciate all of that, Marjorie. You can catch us in the Life of a Marketer podcast on either Tuesdays or Thursdays at around 11 something. We stream it online across our social media profiles, or you can subscribe to the Life of Marketer podcast, which is on YouTube. And once again, Margie, thanks. This has been a wonderful podcast.
Thank you so much, Jared.